Hi everyone, today's story is Diarmuid and Grainne and it's from the book Ancient Irish Legends by Padraic O'Farrell. All over Ireland, certain tombs, mounds or single large stones are called Labba Diarmuide agus Grainne, Diarmuid and Grainne's bed, or Labba na Cally, the bed of the hag. The couple mentioned are probably the most glamorous lovers in ancient Irish legend. He was strikingly handsome, she was the most elegant and beautiful woman in the land. The god of love, Angus Og, fostered Diarmuid. Unaware of the dire fate that awaited him, the youth matured and became a prominent member of the Fianna warrior band. His father, Rock, discovered his wife having an affair with Angus Og's steward. She gave birth to a son, but Rock killed the infant and used his druid staff to turn the tiny corpse into a savage boar. For further revenge, he ordered the boar to kill Diarmuid if it ever came across him. When he grew up, Diarmuid adopted some of his mother's traits. Once he was hunting with three of the Fianna when they asked shelter of an old man. He regaled them with wise parables. When the four young men retired, the man's beautiful young daughter stole into their room. All four tried to woo her, but she chose Diarmuid. He must have given her pleasure because she placed a ball circa or beauty spot on his forehead. She told him that she was the goddess of youth and that the spot would ensure that no woman could ever resist his charm. Grainne was the daughter of the celebrated High King of Ireland, Cormac MacArt, who may have ruled the country as late as the 3rd century. She received many offers of marriage but refused them all. Her household wanted her to wed the ageing and widowed Finn MacCool. The spirited young woman did not relish the idea, but an ambiguous answer to Oisin, who conveyed Finn's proposal, led to wedding arrangements being made. Only during a banquet that preceded the nuptials did she become fully aware of Finn's plans. She cast her eye around the table for a likely replacement groom. As soon as she noticed the beauty spot on Diarmuid, she was smitten and determined to elope with him. When Finn and his warriors had drank to excess, Grainne called her own servant girl and told her to fill the largest measure with wine and bring it to her. The girl obeyed and Grainne cast a spell on it. There were 4 handles on these square vessels, and Grainne offered one to Finn. He drank, and as was customary, presented it to the Queen, who in turn passed it on to the next highest in rank, and one by one the drinkers fell asleep. This went on until the cup came to Diarmuid. Before he could raise it to his lips, Grainne had them otherwise attracted. She kissed him and begged him to take her away. Diarmuid was in a tight spot. He wished to remain loyal to Finn, but the rules of the Fianna stated that a woman's love should not be refused. His friends, Oisin, Oscar and Finn's cousin Caolte McRonan, had not drunk from the cup, so he asked their advice. They told him to go with Grainne because they were romantics at heart and knew that Finn was too old for the girl. Diarmuid was not convinced. He offered Grainne a weak excuse, saying that since Finn was asleep, all the gates around the fortress would be locked and guarded. "Not the secret wicket gate in my garden," Grainne said with a wink that made Diarmuid think she was speaking euphemistically. His manhood aroused, he responded. Grainne led her lover away into the night. There was great commotion when the spell wore off and Finn and his party awoke to find the pair missing. The great leader was furious and ordered the Fianna to track them down and kill his disloyal henchmen. They would have no part in what they regarded as an old man's act of jealousy, so Finn hired assorted mercenaries. The lovers roamed all over Ireland, always fearing capture. Some accounts say they made passionate love in the beds called after them. Others hold that for a long time Diarmuid's guilt prevented him from succumbing to Grainne's seduction. They claim that Diarmuid even left subtle signs that would convince the pursuing Finn that this was so. Whenever the band of mercenaries attempted to capture or kill him, Diarmuid fought them off easily. Sometimes he humiliated his attackers. Once he left them trussed in pairs like fowl ready for slaughter. Over meadow and moor the fugitives wandered. Where they cooked, they did not eat. Where they ate, they did not sleep. Eventually, Diarmuid grew tired of being pursued. He built a hut of sally rods and rushes and planted a defensive paling cut from high poplar trees. There, some say, the couple made such wild love that the birds of the forest trilled in elaborate harmony and warm winds whispered wondrous words of passion across the mountainside. A tribe called Nevin came across this structure. One climbed a tree and saw Grainne brushing her hair and Diarmuid sharpening a spear. He told the others and they reported the sighting to Finn. He and a few of the Fianna came back with the Nevins and surrounded the enclosure. Finn ordered 2 men to position themselves at each of 6 gates. He himself stood at the 7th. Foolishly, he allotted guard duties to the Fianna. Angus Og saw the lovers' plight and came to spirit them away. Diarmuid would not leave, but he allowed his foster father to take Grainne to a safe place called Two Swallows Headland, thought to be in County Limerick. He prepared to fight his way out. Approaching one gate, Diarmuid called, "Who is on guard out there?" It was Oscar and Oisin. They offered to let him escape if he opened the gate, but he would not accept the easy option. The same thing happened at the second exit, where Kilcha stood guard. At every gate, indeed, Diarmuid was offered an escape route. He refused, fearing that Finn would exact revenge on his friends for helping him. So at the 7th gate, he faced Finn himself, or so it seemed when they called out to each other. Diarmuid had kept a spare pole when he built the paling, and he vaulted over the waiting Finn, his cohorts and the Nevins. It happened so quickly that they did not even see him, and while they were still waiting for him to come out, he was enjoying suckling pig with his foster father and Grainne at Two Swallows Headland. After this adventure, Diarmuid realised there was only one place where he might find peace: Blackwood in County Mayo. The thick green forest contained a quicken tree that bore magic berries. It had grown there after a fairy hurling team had played against the Fianna many years before, and a supporter had dropped a berry by mistake. This grew into a tree that was guarded by a fierce giant called Sir Van Loughlin, the bitter marauder. Everybody, including Finn, avoided this place. Diarmuid asked the giant to allow them to stay in the wood in return for a promise never to touch the berries. The giant agreed, because he realised that the mighty Diarmuid would be a formidable friend. Finn heard about this and secured the aid of 2 men known as the Sons of Morna, who were trying to enlist in the Fianna. He offered them admission if they brought him back Diarmuid's head or a fistful of berries. They set off for Blackwood, where they met Diarmuid and told him their story. Grainne overheard it and became interested in the fruit. The men opted for fighting Diarmuid instead of the giant, but he had no trouble beating their heads together and tying them up. He had considerable trouble, however, trying to talk Grainne out of an impulsive longing for the forbidden fruit. She goaded him, and although he knew the giant could be overcome by one blow of his weapon, he gave in. The Mornas begged for their release so that they could see the encounter. Politely, Diarmuid asked the giant for some fruit, but he roared his refusal and charged at Diarmuid. They wrestled, kicked and tore at each other until Sir Van Loughlin stumbled. Diarmuid whipped the club from his hand and struck him on the head 3 times. The giant toppled over. When he hit the ground, so great was the thud, apples from every tree in Ireland fell. Berries from the tree fell too. Diarmuid picked up some and gave them to the Mornas. The rogues ran back to Finn with the berries, but he smelt Diarmuid's hand off them and chastised his hirelings for trying to deceive him. Then he and a few followers went to Blackwood, but could see nobody near the tree. Diarmuid and Grainne had taken over the giant's home in the branches and were busy eating the magic fruit. To pass the time, Finn played chess with Oisin. He had almost beaten him, but Diarmuid had been watching from above and he lobbed a berry on the piece that would win the game for Oisin. This happened 3 times, and then Finn roared a challenge into the treetop. Again, Angus came to Grainne's rescue and spirited her to a safe place. As before, Diarmuid sprang across the waiting mob and ran to join his foster father and Grainne at Brú or Newgrange, County Meath. There they remained until Angus went to Finn to ask him to make peace. Old and weary from all the chasing, Finn agreed. The couple got married and received valuable gifts and property before settling down at Rathgraney near Tara, County Meath. 4 sons and a daughter were born before the couple invited Finn and Cormac MacArt to dinner one day. Grainne wanted to find out if the feud was fully forgotten, so she encouraged the men to go hunting. Fleet-footed as they were, they soon reached Benbulben in Sligo, where Finn noticed that a vicious boar was following them. He encouraged Diarmuid to fight it. Finn leered when the boar rammed his tusks into Diarmuid's stomach. The valiant warrior had met his fate from his stepbrother. There was only one hope. He knew that water dropped into his mouth from Finn's hands had the power to heal his wound. He asked Finn, but although there was a well nearby, the old man refused. Diarmuid died. Colleagues bore his corpse back to Meath for the burial. Angus Og attended and gave Grainne the dead body that he promised her would speak to her each day. The Fianna resented it greatly when Grainne eventually became Finn's wife, and no wonder. So that's that. Thank you. Bye bye.